This year's Warsaw AV show, we've got the new Master Deck and the new Master Phono. I'm Steve Shade, and I'm with Mofi Electronics. I handle all the international sales, basically everything outside of the USA and Canada. The Master Deck was developed over the last 2.5 years, working with Alan Perkins on our design team. Alan, formerly of Spiral Groove, and before that, iMedia, now is with Mofi Electronics. And you'll see a lot of elements on this turntable from his Spiral Groove Revolution turntable. The platter mechanism, very similar design, with only 1 point of inertia for the rotation of the platter. And then the tone arm, very similar to the Spiral Groove Centroid tone arm, is our new Mofi Master Deck tone arm, which is very interesting design because on the horizontal plane, it's actually a unipivot, but on the vertical plane, it's a gimbal bearing. So it's a hybrid tone arm. Increased trackability. It's a beautiful sounding turntable. Yeah. And then the Master Phono, we work with Peter Madnick. He works with Constellation Audio, and he's worked with ELAC Electronics. He designed the Master Phono for us. And if you look closely, you'll notice there's a gap between the first part of the phono stage and the back. We've got an air gap, basically, to keep the noisier parts, the power supply, up to the front of the unit. And then at the back, we've got the signal path with the air gap in between. So one chassis, but yet two distinct components. So we save the cost of having the second chassis, but we get all the benefits of that separation between the noisy part and the signal path. The Master Phono has 3 inputs. The first input is a current source transimpedance input, which works really well with very low output cartridges. And then we have the loading, the voltage inputs for input 2 and input 3, either XLR or RCA. So you can actually support up to 3 tone arms or 3 turntables with the Master Phono. It's also, you'll notice it has the orange meters on the front. The meters obviously track the music, which is very fun, but they also help aid in cartridge setup. We have a mode where you can put the meters to help adjust azimuth of the cartridge, and then for additional parameters as we go. It's also software updatable, which is pretty unique for a phono stage, and that's pretty exciting. And then if I brought up a third product, which is gaining a lot of momentum for Mofi Electronics, it's our speakers that were launched. We launched the SourcePoint 10 about a year ago at the Capital Audio Fest, and we just launched the SourcePoint 8 this summer. And as the number denotes, that's the size of the driver. So the SourcePoint 10 has a 10-inch concentric driver, developed 100% by Andrew Jones, formerly ELAC, and before that, TAD Pioneer, and then of course KEF Electronics, where he got his start. So the SourcePoint is a very unique design in terms of the mid-century modern aesthetic with the multifaceted front, which is more contemporary. And then of course, the leading edge of the driver is beyond the frame of the speaker. So we eliminate a lot of diffraction or noise from the surface. And then the concentric, we have a twin drive magnet system that has a very high flux, allows for incredibly low distortion using a paper driver, paper pulp cone. Performance, it's exceptional. If you haven't heard the SourcePoint 8 or the SourcePoint 10, which works for bigger rooms. But yeah, the SourcePoint 8 loudspeakers, very successful for Mofi Electronics.